Alright, what's going on, everybody? Awesome week of football. As we all know, anybody that watched it this week couldn't ask for better football to watch, really. I guess unless you're Baker, because it was a rough one for him. But I'm not going to try to have too long of a video. A lot to go over. I'm going to try to get through it all. We're going to go over the week 1 matchups. Then I'm going to go over the week 2 matchups. Give my picks. I didn't do rankings this week. I'm going to do rankings like every other week. That way we can kind of get more of a feel on, instead of just a week to week. We'll get 2 weeks in. I'll do new rankings. And I went through the league history and I went through every year we've had it. Went through all the regular season matchups, and I've got some league history stats that I've wrote down, and I'll share with everybody. Because I was kind of interested too to see if Baker really did have the worst week 1 that we've ever recorded. And I guess I'll let y'all know later on in the video, but it's interesting to see some of the stuff that I found when I was doing the league history stuff. But anyways, we'll get into just go by the first matchup here, me and Rick's. Obviously, I think Rick was projected to win this matchup going into it. If it'll let me pull it up. Could have very easily won this matchup. Cam Akers, we all know what he did. We all know where he is now. He's on my bench. Can't trust him, can't rely on him. McVay had nothing good to say about him. Already 3.4% have dropped him. That's crazy, but 3 carries, 0 yards. I don't think he even had any targets. I'm a big target guy anyways, but yeah, no targets. Anyways, just a piss poor outing from Cam Akers. 3rd round pick. Really hurts the team. But luckily, I think I did do a good job this year of drafting depth. As you can see, my team picked me up pretty good. But we'll just go, obviously, Rick has the GOAT at quarterback. Not going to win that matchup. Probably nobody's really going to win that matchup against Rick all year long. What are you going to do? I think he drafted Josh Allen in the 4th round anyways, which, I mean, it's not even a reach. He's the man. DeAndre Swift played out of his mind. I don't know what he was. I wrote us all down. DeAndre Swift was the number 3 running back this week in fantasy. In our fantasy, at least. I don't know where he finished in like standard and just standard PPR. But in our league, he finished as the 3rd ranked running back. Dalvin Cook, not a bad game, but kind of lackluster. They didn't really need him too much anyways against Green Bay. Nick Chubb had a great game in my mind. I think 22 rushes for 141. I think that's what it was. Let's go to the full box score. Yeah, 22 for 141. Javonte Williams, he really looked good in my mind. I know Rick was talking about how he got missed on the check down a lot by Russell Williams, but look at this. Russell Wilson. 12 targets out of your running back. 11 catches, 65 yards. And then he had 7 carries for 43. What's that put him at, like a 6 yards per carry average? I mean, I'll take that all day long out of my running back. No touchdowns, and still got pretty much 22 points. And had very easily could have had a real easy touchdown if he didn't fumble. So that's with a fumble. If I'm Rick, I'm real happy with Javonte Williams. I'm not so happy with Mike Williams here. I guess we'll look at that too. How many targets did he actually have? 4 targets, 2 catches, 10 yards. Just can't have that. And he was a 3rd round pick as well. I think when I was looking at everybody's 3rd round pick, not too many studs in week 1 that was picked up in the 3rd round. We can look at it again after we go over matchups, but nothing really popped out to me. Juju, pretty much right at his projection. I'm always hesitant on Juju. I know he's a big name, big TikTok guy. But I'm just not a big Juju fan. Amon-Ra, AJ Brown. AJ Brown went plumb off in my mind. He's real happy with that 28.5. I think he's still projected around the same this week, but I think he has a really good year. And obviously they're looking for him. I think he had like 11 targets. $13 targets actually for 155. As we come down here, Evan Ingram. Honestly, I mean, I don't have a tight end. Nobody really has a tight end. I think, yeah. So only one team had a tight end in the top 5 in tight ends this week. 2 through 5 in tight ends were on the waiver wire. Now, to me, that's just crazy. But now it's not going to be like that the rest of the year. Obviously, those guys just nobody had good tight end play this week. Goddard right up projection. Rashad Penny, got to get more out of him. Did not like his showing. Looked good in some points of the game, so I mean, I'm not too upset if I'm Rick. He had some good runs, but just not enough out of him. Then my kicker and my defense destroyed Rick here. See, I get 25 out of those 2. Rick gets 8. And then I beat Rick by 13 points. So that's the ball game right there. Let's see what the benches did. Obviously, my bench outscored him, but I do have a quarterback on the bench. And Daniel Jones getting 25, but I also have Kareem Hunt, who's like I don't know, what was he, like the 6th back this week? Yeah, 6. So the number 6 running back is on my bench. I guess I'm gonna have to just play the whole Cleveland backfield because I watched that game. Kareem Hunt's on the field a lot. They put him at wide receiver a lot, so I'm really hoping that he just gets a lot of receptions this year because they really don't have anybody else to throw to. I mean, they got Amari Cooper, they got Donovan Peoples-Jones, which I picked up. I think that's his first name. And other than that, I couldn't tell you who else is on that team. Brissett really doesn't throw the ball down the field that well from what I've seen. So it might be a lot of checkdowns this year. On this side, nothing really standing out. The backup in KC, but they got ahead by a lot. Rick's just not looking that deep as much. Freiermuth, he looked not too bad for a tight end. And then Mooney, obviously, didn't look good at all. But anyways, we'll get on to the next one. Tough loss for Rick, but I think he'll be all right. I think he's definitely happy. I mean, being projected 12th overall in the league in the rankings, and then comes out and puts up, I think like a top 6 score. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, a top 6 score in the league. I mean, if I'm Rick, I'm okay with it. On to our next one, our closest matchup of the week, I think. Let's see, yeah, they were closer than Jason and Hunter. But Billy, Jack, and Jared. And we'll have to look at the team names here. I don't know if Jared copied Hunter or if Hunter copied Jared. It's interesting to see. I know Jared copied my name from last year he was rocking with, and now it looks like he's copy and pasted Hunter. You'd like to see more originality out of guys, you know, but it is what it is. Anyways, not a great Arizona looked awful, but if I'm Billy Jack, I'm still happy to get 22 points out of Kyler Murray here. Got to get more out of Tom Brady. I know they didn't need him against Dallas. I mean, that was a real boring game to watch. Not many boring games, but these 2 games right here were pretty boring. Not as much. I mean, this was it was entertaining just because it's Kansas City, but I didn't really enjoy watching that Dallas game. Joe Mixon, he's a stud. Got to play an extra, a little extra, but I don't know how much they actually gave it to him in overtime. Still did really well, and he'll do well all year. Let's see. Yeah, he's the number 4 running back, I'm pretty sure. And then Cordero is actually the number, or maybe he's the number 4. Yeah, he's the number 4, and Joe Mixon's the number 5 running back. Yeah, that's what it is. So Jared with 2 top 5 running backs in our league. Week 1 had one of them on the bench. Other than that, on his bench, nothing really pops. Billy Jack's bench, Jamal Williams, vulturing touchdowns from Swift. Don't know if he gets that kind of production out of Williams all year. Julio Jones with 12. Like I said before, Amari Cooper didn't really do much. Antonio Gibson, the whole Washington offense really looked good. Between him and the 2 receivers, and then Carson Wentz was like the number 3 quarterback this week. Keenan Allen, just 10. Leonard Fournette looked good. Derrick Henry, you expect more out of him against the Giants, but you know, you go against the Dable, the Buffalo product, you're gonna catch an L. That's all there is to it. DK, who really cost him the win this week, fumbled. I guess had him within like a point. And I think there was another drive or 2 after that. Just didn't get the ball, but yeah, big fumble by DK, and then game script just Denver couldn't score in the red zone, so they really didn't need to go back to him. If Denver could have got a score in, one of those last 3 drives, and you think they put the ball back in DK's hands. Tough loss for Billy, but I think he'll bounce back. He's got a pretty good team. I'm not in love with his bench, but I don't hate his bench. I don't think he's as deep as some teams, or as deep as we. Well, I didn't really think he was deep coming in, but anyways, tough loss for Billy. Go over to a big outing, and both teams really played well. But you go against a guy that scores 181 in week 1. 181 in any week, you're going to catch an L probably, but week 1, you don't even know where your team's at. It's hard to put up this kind of number. So really good week from Adam. And Adam had, he had the number 3 quarterback this week, the number 1 running back in Saquon. Looks like Saquon's back. And the number 3 receiver. Gosh, my allergies are killing me. On the other side, Zach had the number 5 QB and the number 2 running back, which we all knew he was going to have a lot of points out of these 2 all year long. Tyreek looked good. That offense looks real good in Miami. Brandon Cooks, he's about as consistent as it gets, year in, year out. You've got Brandon Cooks on your lineup, you're probably going to get pretty good production out of him. Mark Andrews, you're going to get more out of him. I think he still had a lot of targets, if I'm not mistaken. Just 7, but I mean, 10 points out of a tight end this week's not that bad. Kyle Pitts, nothing. CH looked real good. Again, the benches just not really putting up much points here. I think James Cook got 1 touch, fumbled, didn't see the field again. I know Khalil Herbert vultured a touchdown. He had a quarterback here. Yeah, just not much on the benches, so not looking like a whole lot of depth yet here for these guys. And I know teams have probably changed since the waiver wire, but anyways, I mean, damn good week by Adam. He looks tough. And I liked his team before going in, but, I mean, really like his team now. Cooper Kupp, Saquon, Jalen, and it looks like Clyde are going to be 4 guys that's going to be giving him points. Over to Tibbs against Baker. I mean, what can you say? This is, I looked it up, guys. This is officially the lowest Week 1 score in our league's history. The worst opening day performance that you'll ever see. Well, maybe not ever, but it's going to be hard to beat. I went back and looked. There's not too many. There's not even anything really close. I want to say maybe the second closest was Rick. And even when Rick did have that, it was like, I don't know, he may have scored like 70, 80 points. Actually, I think he scored like 80 or 90. And his bench still put up like 127, so it was just like, it's just a bad team. I mean, Baker could have played everybody in his roster. And he's, putting up 116 points? I mean, it's pitiful. But I know he's made some moves. He got rid of DJ Moore for Pierce and a waiver wire guy. Maybe not what I would have done, but at least he's trying, I guess. I know he's in talks with other people from what I hear, just, in the rumor mill. But, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. Dak's out. Najee's apparently back. But, we heard about that Linz Frank or however you say it. Be interesting to watch him the rest of the year and see if that's something that aggravates him, the rest of the year. Or limits him. Elijah Mitchell was done for, 2 months. CeeDee Lamb, no quarterback, no production with it. The offense just looked terrible. I think DJ Moore would have been fine. But you do what you do. Cortland Sutton, I guess him and Najee was his highest producing guys. Well, no, he has Jarvis Landry down here, who really didn't look bad. See what Jarvis is. The return to New Orleans. So he had 9 targets, 7 catches for 114. That's one bright spot on the team. On the flip side, we got Tibbs' team here. Joe Burrow did not start off too hot. I think he had 4 picks in that game. Was looking grim, but as Joey B does, he comes back, and then he's got these two, which I love. I love stacking a premier quarterback with his number 1 receiver, getting that double up on points, double up on touchdowns, big play guy. You're gonna get those bonus points out of him all year long. James Robinson looked good. Not good for ETN owners. I'm not putting too much into Chicago players yet because they were playing in the daggone Flood Bowl in Chicago. Debo, the Elijah Mitchell injury probably helps him out a lot. Jerry Jeudy looked good. What is he? He's like he's got to be up there in receivers. Number 7 receiver. I think Hawkinson will be fine. Not much on the bench though. Just a lot of these teams just can't afford an injury. You end up like Baker and having to trade. And poor decision making. You bench Steelers defense, they get you 22. That's 14 more points. You probably still end up with the worst Week 1 ever, but I mean that makes it a little bit more respectable. On to the grudge match here. Duty didn't really stand a chance. Wade's got a really good team. I mean, he's got Pat Mahomes at quarterback. He's got the best receiving core in our league with Jay Jetta and Stephon Diggs. Obviously, what were they? I think the number 1 and the number 2 receiver in our league. So he's definitely number 1. And then Diggs is number 2. Yeah, he's got the top 2 receivers in our league on the same team. He dropped Cole Kmet. Josh Jacobs didn't do much. Zeke didn't do, like I said, nobody on that offense did anything. But pretty scary. Miles Sanders. I know a lot of people aren't big on Miles Sanders, but he's got a great offensive line, so you can always kind of I know you couldn't count him last year. Didn't even score a touchdown, did he? But he's not a bad one to bet on, especially going against that or going running behind that offensive line. Did Wade not field a defense at all? Oh no, he dropped his defense. He dropped his defense to pick up another tight end and Fant, which wasn't the right guy because it looked like I think that's Disley over in Seattle that was getting all the catches. But yeah, he had Bill's defense, left him on the bench. Could have probably competed for so 18 more points. That puts him at 185. Probably makes him league high this week. And that's getting most of his production out of 4 players and a defense. So not too bad. Over here on the flip side, Duty's team, obviously Matt Stafford went against the best defense in the league. Didn't look good at all, but it's still Matt Stafford. I'm not worried about it too much if I'm Duty. Austin Eckler had a lackluster performance. James Conner had 19 for an Arizona offense that really struggled against Kansas City. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. I mean, that's about what he gets you every week. Deontay Johnson, I want to say he had pretty decent targets. What, 9? Did he have 9? Twelve targets, so I'm not mad about that if I'm a Deontay Johnson owner. Michael Thomas, 22. And then down here he's got Chase Edmonds, who I like Chase Edmonds. I'm a fan of him. Michael Carter, he's the number 1 for New York. Put up 20 points. I think Duty's got to start putting him in the lineup here. Maybe change some stuff up. I don't know what he does. So I'm saying Duty's got depth. He might need to make a trade, really, like a 2-for-1, get another premier name, because he can kind of afford it. He's still got George Kittle out, and I think George Kittle actually left practice again today with the same groin injury. So I think Duty maybe just needs to make a move. Maybe try to lump somebody up with one of the bench players, get a 2-for-1, get a premier player, go into the lineup, and still have a guy on the bench that can come in for an injury. I think Duty will be fine. He just got to figure out what lineup he's going to roll with the rest of the year. And then another tight matchup here, Jason with the upset over Hunter. Just not much at it. I know he says he got cheated out of a 30-yard run by Christian McCaffrey because it was a kind of a scramble off of a fumble. Damian Pierce didn't do anything, but obviously he traded him for DJ Moore, so who outscored him this week. T. Higgins, I think he left with an injury, head injury, if I'm not mistaken. Jalen Waddle looked good. Kelsey, obviously the number 1 tight end, looked good. Not a big Hollywood fan, but still 14 points. But game script probably helped him out a lot. They were coming from behind. Washington defense, not so hot. But it's hard with defenses. You got to stream him. He's obviously, I guess he's got the Rams number 1 now. Jahan Dotson looked extremely good. A.J. Dillon looked really good. And didn't have to trade him to Baker to get DJ Moore, so he'll be fine. Over here with Jason, obviously Justin Herbert's a really good running back. Aaron Jones, who was supposed to be the number 1 out in Green Bay, splitting carries with A.J. Dillon. Green Bay just didn't look good anyway, so you got Breece Hall, who is actually the number 2 in New York. What did he actually get touches-wise? 6 carries, but 10 targets for 6 catches. So that's not. I'm not too upset if I'm Jason. I don't know. I don't know when he drafted him, but I know a lot of people were Breece Hall fans this year. Because, I mean, he is a stud, but at the end of the day, Michael Carter is still the number 1. Godwin on the bench. Nothing really here. You got Melvin Gordon, who still got a lot of carries in that game. Could have had a touchdown or 2, made that a 20-plus game for him. I mean, neither team here impressed me, but we'll see going forward. Obviously, Hunter's made his team better. I don't know, but if you're Jason, you come in ranked 11th and you get a win over a guy that was, I think, league ranked like 4 or 5. So can't be mad. Anyways, let's go on to go to the league home. See the activity done here. Obviously, I dropped the Chargers defense, picked up the Rams, but the big activity here is the trade of DJ Moore for Dameon Pierce and Robbie Anderson. I know Hunter literally just picked up Robbie Anderson off the waiver, so pretty much it's a DJ Moore for Dameon Pierce. If Baker keeps Robbie Anderson, he drops somebody on his team. We'll see what he does. I like that pickup from Wade. I was actually going to do that. I didn't want to waste a waiver wire pickup on him, but Cade York looked really good. As we see, the game winner from like 58, rookie, big leg. I think he'll be a good kicker this year for Wade. Let's get to the. Somebody was up early. Jared. Anyways, guess these are the waiver wire pickups here. Yeah. So Adam gets Curtis Samuel, who I would say a lot of people had waiver wire pickups in on. He looked really good. I think he had like 11 targets or something. Really good pickup from Adam. I like that. I picked up Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he had like 11 targets or something, maybe 9, but I think he had 11 targets. Carson Wentz, Baker needed that. Probably helps him out. Carson Wentz was number 3 quarterback. We'll see if he keeps up the production, but you know, looked good in week 1. Dak looked awful even before he got hurt, so there's only up from here for Baker, so which we'll see. I mean, he got rid of DJ Moore for Dameon Pierce, so we'll see. Somebody just streaming a defense. Not a whole lot of pickups. It looks like people was trying to save their waiver wire spot this week. Oh, I know what I always wanted to look at. Let's see who changed their name first. Does it tell us on here? Here we go. Oh, so yeah. Jared stole Hunter's name. Nothing to it. Hunter changed his name September 13th at 8:59, and then Jared changed his at 12:01 on the 14th, which is today. I see you, Jared. Anyways, let's go to this week's matchups and try to fly through it pretty quick. I feel like this has been a long video already. You got me against Adam, or me against Zach. Obviously, a lot of check marks over here on Zach's team, but we've seen my team produces more than the projections. Obviously, averaging with the start lineup here 171, which I mean he's not going to be averaging bad. He's averaging 146. He had a good week last week. I think it'll be close. I really do. Obviously, he's got a stud in Jonathan Taylor that can put up 40 points going against that Jacksonville defense. Probably a big game out of him. I don't expect a whole lot out of Devin Singletary week in, week out. And I think that's what's going to eventually hurt Zach's team is I'm a big fan of running back depth. And when you just don't have it, it tends to hurt you, especially later on in the year. I mean, running backs, they miss weeks. But Tyreek Hill, like I said, Mr. Consistent, Brandon Cooks, one of the best tight ends in the league. Mark Andrews was the best last year, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if Kelsey beat him out again, but I think Mark Andrews ended up being the number one tight end. Adam Thielen. But it's going to be hard to pick against myself because I really am big on my team this year. And like I said, I think I have one of the deepest teams. I'm going to say it's a shootout, could go either way, but I'm just going to go with myself just because, I mean, it's my team. You know, how can I bet against me? We got Billy going against Adam. Another one kind of the same way. You know, Adam lead kind points last week. Billy scored 124, but Billy's projected to beat him by 3. I don't know why I mean, I get it, but Derrick Henry against Buffalo's defense, Saquon going against Carolina, and you give Derrick Henry the nod. I don't know if I go with that. Saquon looked really good. I'm not a big fan of ETN right now. I do agree with that, which I don't know why he's questionable. I'm sure he'll play. Cooper Kupp, stud. Are we starting Julio? I'm gonna go with Adam. I think his team stays hot. Puts up about 150. Billy Jack puts up about 135. We get Adam start off 2-0. Billy 0-2. We got Jared going against Rick. Looks like it's going to be a barn burner according to the projections here. Which is weird because Jared has every check mark except for Josh Allen and Rashad Penny. And I don't know. Cordero Patterson is projected to lose his matchup against Rashad Penny. I'm gonna go with Jared. I'm gonna say Jared gets the dub, and I don't think it's anywhere as close as this. I know Rick scored pretty good points last week. Scored more than Jared. Would have beat him last week, but I like Jared's team. I like what he did here. I like the move with Gabe Davis, Cordero Patterson. Left Kamara in. You got to ride with him. I like the lineup, and I like Jared in this matchup. Obviously, everybody's itching to play Baker, praying that he's on the schedule for the first few weeks here. I don't know if he ever gets his team back on track, but you definitely want him. You definitely want him right now. I think Wade cakewalk this week. Like I said, this is the best receivers you're going to see on a fantasy team. Jay Jettis, Stephon Diggs. You got Pat Mahomes slinging the rock. If you can get just a little bit more out of Zeke than you got last week, you're fine. Miles Sanders looks good. The only check mark he's got is Najee Harris, who's questionable. So that tells you the state of Baker's team right now. And this guy right here is not even on his team anymore. So not much to say except for probably gonna start off 0-2 Bake. Another barn burner here. Tips going against Jason. I don't know. I'm still going to give the nod to Herbert. Even though it's hard to root against Joe Burrow. Especially when he's stacking him with Jamar Chase going against Dallas. I don't know. Aaron Jones didn't impress. He said he got outscored by a decent bit by Dillon last week. James Robinson looked real good. Breece Hall did not. Uh, they gave Devontae Adams the nod over Jamar Chase. I don't agree with that, but I don't hate it. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to do. Me personally, I like Jamar Chase over Devontae Adams right now in fantasy. But then you got Debo, who's probably going to get an uptick in points. Hawkinson, like I said, he's pretty consistent, pretty reliable with the tight end spot. I like Tibbs' team more than Jason's right now. I'd say Tibbs gets the win probably by at least 10 points. And then Duty going against Hunter. Hunter's projecting, wow, almost 146 points. I think that's the highest projection we've seen so far this week. He must have pretty good matchups. But yeah, they're projecting Henderson to get 21.5 now. Cam Akers must be projected 3 points. Connor's got the nod by 0.1 though in projection. Like I said, I like Duty's team. I like his depth. I think he just needs. Wow, he went with the Taysom Hill, which I really like that pickup for different reasons. I mean, you got Taysom Hill in at tight end. You know, say James gets hurt, he goes in at quarterback, and you start getting quarterback stats out of your tight end, and that can be big any given week. And like I said, he gets runs, he gets looks at touchdowns running the ball. Not a bad guy to have at tight end, especially if you don't have a good tight end already. Probably not gonna outscore Kelsey though. I like Thomas more than Hollywood personally. Yeah, I mean, I think Hunter gets the win, gets back in the win column. Duty probably starts off 0-2. It's probably gonna be a 15-point game here. But like I said, I think Duty needs to make a 2-for-1, get another stud, take advantage of one of these teams that's, you know, you might have to wait a week or two. Maybe some teams, you know, get a little thin, get some injuries, but I think he's got the depth. He can do a 2-for-1, get another highlight player here, and really have a star-studded lineup. Anyways, like I said, not too much more to go over. I'm going to get into our league history. So as you can see here, I went back through all the years and pulled up, you know, the highest single week scores, the lowest single week scores, and there's the reason I got 5 and 3s and 2s and 2s. It's because really the other ones, there were so many people that just had like pretty much the same scores that it really wasn't worth it. So I pretty much just put like the teams that like set themselves apart. So we'll start here with the highest single week scores. Obviously, Tibbs last year had a pretty dominant team. Maybe the most dominant team we've ever seen. Until the injury bug got him. You know, you take out Derrick Henry, who was averaging like 50 points a week. You know, it's pretty hard to maintain that high scoring weeks. But he did this in week 2 last year. And then I know in like week 5 and 6, I think he scored like 205 and 206. So he was on pace for like a crazy year until Derrick Henry went down. Zach in 2019 scored almost 220 points. Jared in 2020 had 215-15, and then also in 2018 Jared had 211.9, and then myself in 2020 I had 210.79, and that was the only ones 210 and above. And I know, which it's not a regular season game, but I know Hunter was like around 224, like in a playoff week. I mean, he was in the consolation bracket, but might have been the championship week one year. Lowest single week scores. Now, you normally don't see this out of Adam. He's pretty consistent, but he had a really bad week in 2017, 41.68. And then Wade in 2020 had a 53.89 week. And then Baker is coming in at 3 in the lowest single week scores ever. Week 1, 62.51. I mean, like I said, you don't see that kind of score in week 1. hardly ever. But shout out Baker. And then highest totals. We said last week was the first year of a 14-week season. So you had Tibbs at 2187.27. So that'll be the number to beat from now on. Jared at 2092.81. We give Jared a lot of hell, but really he had a really good year last year. We talk about how good and how dominant Tibbs' team was. I mean, Jared wasn't, 90-some points behind him. So, I mean, it's hard to hate on him too much. He had a good year. I think he had a 10-win season, maybe 10-4. So just all around good year. Like I said, high scoring year from Jared. The past 4 years, 13-week seasons. Jim, who's no longer with us, 2060. He is the all-time 13-week scoring champion. So I guess that's about set in stone now, since we won't have 13-week seasons anymore, unless I do something with the playoffs and go back to a 13-week season, just extend playoffs a little longer. But in 2018, Jim, who always has a good team, no matter what league you play Jim in, he drafts well, he works the waiver wire good, he trades well. I mean, he's just a good owner. Sad that he's not with us anymore, but all-time 13-week season scoring champ. And then Adam, just a little bit behind him in 2020 at 2035.5. And then the highest championship scores, myself at 202 points in the championship week to beat Rick that year. And then Jared last year, I guess, was it against Nick? I think so. I think it was a Skeens championship. But 175.72, so it comes in at second with the highest total for a championship. And didn't really go into too much. I've seen some other things that I wrote down, but that's what I wanted to leave y'all with. Everybody have a good week 2. And I guess I'll see y'all next week for the week 3 or week 2 recap and week 3 matchups. See y'all.